Unlike most of my short takes that I call short takes, I'm gonna keep this short take short, at least by relative terms. A while back, I did a video on Wuthering Waves saying I didn't think that flying should be unconditional. Unconditional being the key word. As is often the case with this kind of thing, I feel like nuance gets lost. By unconditional, it simply means that flight should have conditions. You shouldn't be able to fly wherever you want, past, present, or future, at any moment in time, no matter the situation, no matter the environment. You get the point. And two of my main points were that 1, it could stifle ground level interactivity, and 2, it could stifle developer creativity when it comes to new methods of traversal. On point number 1 about the ground level interactivity, I brought up the fact that flying was obviously made with Renacita's environment in mind, and vice versa. The verticality and interest points in Renacita invite a concept like flying. Not only does it invite it, it encourages it. Many points across the Renacita landscape are made in such a way where getting to the top of them by any means other than something like flying would not be feasible, or at the very least it would be extremely cumbersome. But it's fine, and it still does work like it does, because once you do fly to the location you're looking at from the distance, once you get there you must land and do whatever it is you need to do. Whether that's, open up all the chests or just continue on with the story. You get the idea. The point is not the journey, the point is the destination. And so, who cares about flying from one point to another? Just let us. And yeah, I agree, I get that. But see, that's in Renacita's case where the destination is the interest point. My point in the other video was, what if the journey itself is supposed to be the interest point? For instance, we are in a volcanic region, and we are supposed to carefully navigate between trails of lava. Or, for instance, what if we are in a desert region and we need to avoid sand traps and sandworms and that kind of thing? These are topological instances where not only is the destination the point, but so is the journey. And that was the root of my point, illustrating that clinging to this system, present and future, could lead to instances of stifled map creativity. At the point that you can just fly everywhere unconditionally in every region going forward, a large part of the world interactivity is lost, or at least potential interactivity. That's not saying they shouldn't ever let us fly anymore. I'm just saying though that it should be conditional. They should choose the points we can fly from. They should choose the areas where we can't. It's simply that simple. When it's mindful of the environment and mindful of the gameplay around it, then there's really no problem. But to simply say that it should be unconditional everywhere, that's asking for them to stifle their own creativity, and asking them to make a map that is basically just going to be Renacita 2.0, Renacita 3.0, etc. On point number 2 about stifled creativity with respects to new methods of traversal, well, it's basically exactly that. We trusted Kuro Games to cook up an awesome thing with flying, and they did. Why are we not trusting them to cook up anything else? At the point that we say, no, I want to be able to pick point A and fly to point B no matter what all the time, well then, there's no reason for them to come up with anything else. But there's so many cool things they can do, man. Like, am I the only one who's waiting for on-demand teleports? Do you remember the very, very tiny instance where we used portals, like, from the game Portal? Where we could literally just walk through portals? You see what I'm saying there? They could really take these things into new directions, but if you just want to fly from point A to point B, then why would we ever have those kinds of features added into the regular game? I think it would be sick to have some kind of cross-map portal feature where we're solving puzzles across the map using portals. And look, that's not saying that new traversal features can't exist alongside of flying. I'm not saying it has to be one or the other, but what I am saying is that for it to work, Then they would have to make it conditional. Again, they would have to pick and choose where it could happen, otherwise something cool like portals would become meaningless. Now, those two things in mind as I just described them, you would think that I said that flying just should not ever exist again. And some people really took to that point and drove it home as if that was the argument at all, and it wasn't. I never said that flying should not exist in any form ever again. The point was that it should have conditions and be mindful of the environment if it does exist again. But see, that's what I mean when I say that nuance sometimes is lost, because it's not really the argument that I was making, and people were arguing against it. I even explicitly said that I wasn't advocating against the idea of future flying altogether. It's important to note, I'm not necessarily advocating for flying to be region-locked to Renacita. I wouldn't mind it in future regions myself, but it would depend on their own landforms and topographies. It shouldn't be unconditional all the time from any place in every region, no matter the landform or topography. Just a case-by-case basis, carefully considering a region's interest points, land formations, and environmental interactivity, if any. Anyway, why am I bringing this up? Well, it's for two reasons. One, Kuro Games is deciding to let us fly in the Old Huaglong and Black Shores regions. This is a massive W for anyone who has already completed those regions and would like to just, clean it up. I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it one bit. Yeah, this is a pretty nice thing they're letting us do, and I'm not upset, no. And some may be like, well, didn't you say that you should only be able to fly in Renacita? And again, no, that's not the, that's not quite the answer. Look, here's the thing. The old region was made much in the same way as Renacita, where the journey is not necessarily the point. Again, there's no lava trails, there's no sand traps, there's nothing really ground level that we needed to be anchored to. You know what I'm saying? Although, to be fair, I do still have some arguments against it, because some of the old map puzzles and challenges were made in such a way that you were supposed to get around to them on foot and find other ways to get up there. Now that you can fly in those regions, it kind of takes away from some of that. But again, it's older regions, and they can't stifle future creativity by allowing us to do something in an old region. Do you see what I mean there? It's the future creativity of the regions and traversal methods that I would like them to be open to. And when you know it, I would think that they would agree with me. You want to know why? Because they said as much in the live stream. Here's exactly what they said concerning flying in new regions.
不过，考虑到不同地区的设计和玩法体验，未来我们将不再拓展翱翔模块的使用范围。当然，未来我们也会根据新的地图风貌，引入与翱翔有所区别的新探索机制，在未来和大家见面。希望每一次探索都可以。
Due to the design and gameplay differences across regions, we won't be expanding flight to other regions in the future. Of course, based on new map features, we will introduce new exploration mechanics that differ from flight in our future versions. Yep, there you go. It's almost as if I was exactly in tune with the game design. It's almost as if I kind of have an idea there of the game design philosophy. Look, they're going even further than what I said, because I said that flying is fine to exist in future regions. They should just be mindful of the spots and locations you can do it from. But nope, they said they're just straight up not gonna do it. But still, the reasons they said they're not going to do it is what's important here. And it's exactly what I was saying. They have creative ideas that they want to try, and they can't do that if they're just gonna stick to one traversal system. Look, I get it. It's a really cool feature that brought a lot of life to the game when it came, but why don't we trust them to, cook up something else? They're constantly showing us that they're good at making game systems and combat systems and traversal systems and all that, so I feel like we should give them the benefit of the doubt here too. Yeah, it kind of sucks when you see something you like being sunsetted. No one likes that, but have some faith, man. Have some faith, because the game is good, it's been good, it has a great story, it has great gameplay, they made flying was cool, and so who knows what else is on the horizon. They may make some cool maps now that we have to actually interact with, but you can't do that if you could just fly over it, They may make some new traversal systems. I keep coming back to the portal ideal. I really like that idea. But yeah, they seem to be in tune, and I seem to be in tune as well. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of... When I saw that statement they made in the video about flying not being in future regions, I don't know the right word for it. Vindicated? I don't know, but it made me feel like I understood the developer mindset behind the scenes. And hey, you never know, they could flip-flop on that any day and just decide that flying is gonna be everywhere, but at least for now, with the decision they have currently made, I get it, and I hope that people can listen to this and understand exactly what I meant. But well, that's all I got to say about this subject. Yeah, flying should not be unconditional. That's what it was always about. That's what I was always saying. But dang, man, they went super hard on it. They said flying should just not exist. Even I didn't go that far, but oh well, it is what it is, y'all. And for anyone who said that I was legitimately or actually stupid for my take last time, now you can take it up with Daddy Kuro.